Once upon a time, in a small village nestled between rolling hills, there lived a master archer renowned for his incredible skill. His name was Ethan, and there was no one in the village, or beyond, who could match the precision with which he could shoot an arrow. He could strike a target from a great distance, hitting the bullseye without fail, whether in bright sunlight or a thick fog. His fame spread far and wide, and people would come from distant lands just to watch him demonstrate his remarkable ability. One fine morning, as Ethan was strolling through the bustling village square, he noticed an old man who had set up a small stall by the side of the road. The man, dressed in simple clothes, was calmly pouring oil from a large pot into a narrow-necked gourd. What caught Ethan's attention was the old man's remarkable ability to pour the oil without spilling a single drop. Even though the gourd's neck was so narrow, it seemed almost impossible to do so. The process was slow and steady, but the oil flowed in a steady stream, perfectly controlled, with every drop falling precisely where it should. Intrigued by this, Ethan approached the old man and watched for a few moments before speaking up. "You have quite a remarkable skill," the archer said. "It's not easy to pour oil like that. How do you do it so flawlessly?" The oil seller, a wise and humble man named Kavi, looked up at Ethan and smiled. "Ah, young man, it's nothing special," Kavi replied in a calm, yet knowing voice. "It comes from years of practice and patience." Ethan, ever confident in his own skills, couldn't help but feel impressed. But he also wondered if there might be more to the old man's technique than met the eye. "I have practiced archery for many years," Ethan said. "And with each shot, I can feel my skill improving. But pouring oil like that seems so simple in comparison to the precision of archery." Kavi chuckled softly, setting down the gourd. "You see, my friend," he said, "the work you do with your bow is no different from what I do with my gourd. Both require dedication, focus, and practice. Your arrows may fly through the air with great force, but I too must ensure the oil flows smoothly, without spilling, through a narrow and delicate path. My skill comes from hours of pouring oil, learning to control the flow with subtle movements, just as you have learned to control your aim and release." Ethan paused for a moment, reflecting on Kavi's words. He realized that the oil seller's words held a deeper truth than he had expected. It wasn't just the action that was impressive, it was the dedication and practice that went into perfecting the craft. He had often boasted about his archery, but here was someone whose skill, while different, was no less impressive. In fact, the oil seller's quiet mastery of his craft had a kind of beauty that the archer hadn't fully appreciated before. Kavi continued, "No matter how skilled we become, we must never forget that humility is just as important as practice. We may reach a level of expertise, but there is always room to improve. You, as an archer, know this better than anyone. The target may seem easy to hit now, but it takes constant practice to maintain that precision. In the same way, I have learned to pour the oil without spilling, but it is only through consistent effort that I can do so with ease." Ethan nodded slowly, a newfound respect forming for the oil seller. He understood now that mastery in any craft was not about pride or boasting. It was about patience, humility, and the willingness to keep practicing, no matter how skilled one became. With a deep bow, the archer spoke. "You have taught me an important lesson, Kavi," Ethan said. "I have always believed that my skill was the result of my hard work, but now I see that humility and continuous learning are just as important. I will strive to remember this from now on, both in my archery and in life." Kavi smiled gently, nodding. "That is all anyone can do, my young friend. Mastery comes not from ego, but from an open heart and the desire to improve, day by day." From that day forward, Ethan visited Kavi often, watching him pour oil and learning the art of patience and humility. He never stopped practicing his archery, but he began to approach it with a new mindset, one that was grounded in quiet confidence and the understanding that there was always something new to learn. And so, in the village between the hills, both the archer and the oil seller continued their work, each perfecting their craft and inspiring others with their dedication, humility, and unwavering commitment to practice. The story carries a good moral lesson that mastery comes through consistent practice, humility, and a willingness to learn. Regardless of how skilled we become, we should remain humble and never stop improving. It teaches us that pride can hinder growth, while a humble, patient approach leads to true mastery.